Okay, so there's so much chaos going on. It's so crazy. And you just gotta keep it in perspective because it's like I think that if you lump it all together, it would be really overwhelming. You gotta separate it. It is all these individual souls and soul groups experiencing these different things as a part of their healing and awakening. But a lot of people don't know yet it's about healing. Like there's so much more of a lean in trying to control the universe than to try and be a part of it. It's like trying to escape from it, try and run from it, try and jump timelines out of it and leave the matrix. Just all their stuff is just, I don't know, strange perspectives. It is definitely all based out of ignorance because it's like all these people I swear to God, it's like, and you think about it, it's probably some kind of psyop information released. Oh, you can get out of the matrix. Like, uh, I don't know. But I don't know how all these people all got stuck on this stuff. And they act like it's all so real. And then it's got to be adding to their frustration. Like, you think you're leaving, but you're still here. How does that happen? Because you can't leave until it's your time to go. And that's how I know that that machine, because if they were really putting people down, then there would be uh, the if it was a totally real thing, there would be people who wouldn't be able to pass on. That machine is not to help you leave. It's just to suck your consciousness out so they can use it and put it somewhere else in their experiments. It's not so you can leave the game. You can't leave the game that way. It's I mean, you can leave by your own hand, but only if that's the way it was always going to be. You can't surprise the universe. Oh, guess what I'm going to do today? I'm just going to go do this. They're not going to see what's coming. Oh, what? Another thing that I just did blows my mind too is like I just saw this lady, and so she's talking to her kid, and her kid, I don't know, maybe 12 years old or something, and he's telling her of a past life memory that he had. And past life memories are very distinct because it's like you feel them, you can see them, and you just it's like and it doesn't mean you can see the whole thing. He was the same thing as like what I talk about. You see like these snippets, but like know all this stuff about it. And so he was telling his mom about this past life, and he was saying that he could tell what he was wearing, what his parents looked like, what his sister looked like, how he lived. Like he could see all this stuff, and he was very well off. He was white, he was British, English, eh, because the British thing, somebody was in the comments a while ago saying that was a whole thing to separate people from their culture. Let's just call them British instead. So there's all this separating people from their culture kind of thing. It's the same thing of why they tell us to call people Asians. It's like that makes no sense. Why would we call people Asians that are from the Orient when they look completely different from the other people who are also Asians? That's just confusing. It's the same thing with because there's the whole thing with Africans and Africa, the continent, but that also includes Egypt, I believe, or something. But anyways, all of this whole thing is just to narrow us down and keep us under their labels and stuff. And their labeling system is to deplete us of our identity. So anyways, this kid was telling his mom about this life, and he was very well off. He had two parents. He was really, really good at school, really super smart. And one time their parents were gone, and she was taking a shower. She could tell exactly what she looked like and everything. She was in there taking a shower, and her sister came in and stabbed her, and 2 times. and she knew where. I was so curious as to, do you have a birthmark in those places? Because I have a birthmark in my stomach where I was supposedly stabbed, in where I believe there's a lot. Oh yeah, because the other day I was having this whole thing about that too, because I was thinking about I think I was thinking about stuff with my stomach, the issues, and from when I was a kid and all that stuff. And I was thinking, man, how gruesome if you got stabbed in the stomach. So, and it's kind of like a tear. It's not just a stab, it's like a tear like that, my birthmark. And so they stabbed you in the stomach and do a tear like that. So your intestines would kind of start to bulge out. So, because it was I think it was an Oriental kind of torture thing that they would do. I think it was called Harry Carry, but I don't know. Maybe getting those mixed up because it seems like Harry Carry is where you do it to yourself. But they would do this thing where they would split up and have their intestines pour out. I think they even had that in the Vikings in the show. So that was a practice that had happened at certain times throughout our existence. But I was thinking, like, you stab in like that and then you throw, because I was thrown off of a ship. And I was thinking, geez, not something I really want to think about, but it comes into my head of being thrown into the water and all this leaking out into the water, and even about things going up inside of you. Like, oh, I don't know. It's a gruesome, gruesome ending. Like, there's no wonder why I see open water and it gives me such anxiety and stuff. And knives too. Horrible thing with knives. So, anyways, as kids telling this mom, and she keeps interrupting. And the people in the comments when you went, that was the thing that was just really, really pissing people off. They're like, shut up, man. Quit interrupting. Just let him tell the story. They were getting so mad. And the woman was doing videos arguing back with the people. Like, she was so mad. Like, how people are so caught up in attention seeking, and they don't realize, like, you're attention seeking because you're looking for something. You're looking for approval. You're looking to be a part of something. You're looking to interact. And when it doesn't go the way that your expectation led you, then you become disappointed. But you got to look at it from the other side. Like, possibly look at, like, I'm interrupting him all the time. I'll let him talk. And then I'm doing a video wanting people to enjoy it. Like, so anyways, the thing that got me was that she was so shocked that he was white. Like, she kept being like, what? You're white? What? And she kept laughing about it. Like, how weird. And it's like, it just blew my mind. It was like, people get so so associated with their skin tone, their skin color here. Your soul has no fucking skin to begin with. It has no color other than the aura, than the frequency that it emits. It's like this color that you are, and it is based on, like, how you look at things. And so confirmation. So that's your color. It has nothing to do with brown or white or anything. It's like all these different kind of colors, like rainbow, like blue and green, like a mood ring, kind of. Like, if you're in a really sour mood, your aura would be darker and heavier. When you're in a happier mood, it's vibrating faster, and it's like, it's not like the color goes out. Like, when you get up to more white and pinkish, goldish kind of tones at the higher vibrations, where it starts being like you're just this emitting light out, is when you are doing really good and you're happy and you're not holding on to a bunch of stuff. So see, that's why we're going through this stuff, to let go of things, so to brighten ourselves up, to stoke our own fire. And so the thing that was getting me was that this how people are like trapped into their mind of thinking like, because you're because you're a skin tone now, that's just the experience you came to have, because it goes with your other experiences. The experiences you have aren't random. They're all different experiences that go together to teach a certain perspective, to teach you something so that you can see in a broader way. And the ways that we leave have it's more complex than just like, I mean, here on earth, in this reality that we're shaking up, it's like people look at they look at death as something that they can outrun, they can hide from, they can chase, like it's a game. The death, you're trying to dodge death all the time or something. It's like, that's not what it is. Death is going to come a knocking when it comes a knocking. When it's your time to exit the game, then it's like, okay, let's go. And I think your guides are there and stuff. It's not like scary like what it seems like to us. Where even when this kid was talking about his sister stabbing him, he wasn't like all upset and crying. He was just like looking at, because you look at it through like a story, through like an observation. But those stories impact us when we're in those stories. They create things like being scared of water and you don't know why. Like, why am I so worried about water? Like mine also with big cats. Like I was terrified of them. I was terrified of being eaten by an animal. And that, because the one with the water, where the psychic told me I was a criminal and told me about that life. And again, she didn't know about the scars on my stomach when she was telling me about it. So, or not scars, birthmarks are scars of the past lives. And so she didn't know about that. And but she started telling me what she saw when she saw me. And so that one was later on. The one that I knew about as a kid that was haunting, it was weird because I knew it was real, but I didn't know that much about life or reincarnation. I didn't know about reincarnation and stuff at that point. But it was like a natural thing to know, like, that we don't just have one life. Like, I don't understand how people fight against that. Like, that's weird to me. Like, you gotta open yourself up. Like, to think that this is your one and only life. Like, how strange. Like, what is the point? Like, what would it, what? Like, I don't get it. So in that one, though, which, through all this stuff, I know I've said it before, but Stella was the cat who killed me in this dream of that I had repetitively as a child. So every night it would be the same fucking shit. You know, we'd get sent to bed. I would be terrified. I was so horrified every night to have to go to bed. It was, my whole night was spent in nightmares. And my day wasn't like, it was super happy or anything. It was, I mean, we had good times when I was a kid. We had fun. We would go and do, like, kids went out and we did adventures and stuff. But it wasn't like, you could go have a heart-to-heart talk with your mom about something and try and tell her, it's just like, oh, you're just having bad dreams. Just, you'll get over it or something. But you're going through this traumatic experience. And it went on for years. This wasn't just like, oh, every once in a while. No, this was every motherfucking night for years, to the point where I was like 18, I think, or 19. And I thought, I would just tell people at that point, I don't like to sleep. I just have nightmares every night. And so it was a long time for me to get over that. I don't even remember when I stopped having nightmares. It seems like I was in my second marriage when it started, when I stopped having nightmares every night. And then they would just come sometimes. But it was horrible. And in that one, it was, I was a black guy, and I was tall and skinny, and I was walking, and I can see the houses, like I can see this, and it was not huts or something. It wasn't like a hut, but it was different kind of house than like what we have, especially in America, because it was like more open, but it was still like a house. And this big cat, stalked me, and and then I went to my house, and it went in and it got me and it killed me at my house. And so then I would see this over and over and over and over. And I couldn't, I mean, there's somebody to talk about. It's like, why do I have this dream of this black guy being murdered every night? But then it started elaborating, and it started going more into, I had more people with me. It would switch. It would be like people I knew, and be like my family, and we're all running, and we're trying to get away from this thing, and we're trying to hide, and people hiding in the houses. And then it turned into intruders. It just kept going. Man, something is really bothering me. Hold on. It's like something is just like, so then, but later on, when the big cat was in my, out here, then, and I had a nervous breakdown about it, that is when my guides were showing me that Stella was the one who was the big cat. It's when I started understanding more about the spirit animal, and that this relationship that you have. And so, and that is why I feel like I take it really serious about any of her health stuff. Like, I can't believe how many people just go to the vet and say, here, put my dog down. And I mean, this one was one that was 7 months old, a puppy that was 7 months old, and it looked like Jack. So it was kind of that same kind of, I don't know, half Doberman, half something, but, hyperish. And so I imagine it was playful and hyper. And these people had a kid that's on the spectrum. And so I don't know, having a kid on the spectrum, I guess, is just a way to say, oh, don't worry, you don't have to. We don't have to worry about your health. We don't have to do that. And we don't have to worry about your behavior because we've labeled you, you're on the spectrum. So, but for one thing, anybody who's getting labeled on the spectrum, they need to do detoxing. And like I said, it's on all the things. Once you have your diagnoses, you need to go towards your the things, the products that gave you the diagnosis, the things that you do that gave you that diagnosis. That's where you need to center. And so there's some kids, who are very, very deep and not, what is that called? Where they're not, it's like they don't participate so much in our regular day-to-day and conversations and stuff. They're in their own world. And so, those one, if I had a kid who was in his own world, I would be spending time on detoxing. I would still be spending time on trying to figure out how to communicate. And so, I don't know. I just feel like there's people who just blow shit off. Like the label gives them all they need. So then this little puppy was outside with this kid, and the kid was laying on top of the puppy, and the puppy wanted to get up, and the kid wouldn't get off of him. And so the puppy snapped at the kid and bit him, but not like the bite, but like what they do when you're bothering me, get off me. They do that little like thing. Like this little guy, Max, just did it to me the other day, because I'm used to Stella's food situation. I can go put my hands down, put things in her dish while she's eating, it's no big deal. She doesn't. But I tried to do that to him, and he's like snapped and bit my hand, and he's like, hell no, get the fuck away from my food. And I was like, oh yeah, they all have different ways of looking at this. And I've been doing it to Stella for so long. So anyways, that taught me, it's like, oh, well, keep your hands away from him when he's eating, because he thinks you're trying to steal his food. And so, these people, when the dog did that, they grabbed the dog up, took it to the vet, and said they wanted the dog put down. This is a 7-month-old puppy. Like, I'm beginning to think that there's vets that are getting kickbacks from the meat industry or something. Like, what the fuck? Like, what in the holy hell? And there's another one too, where a woman, she had a puppy, and so she takes it to the vet for something, and this is when she adopted. She takes it to the vet for something, and the vet says it's got all these health issues. So she's like, well, I don't want to deal with that. I'm just gonna put him down. And then takes him to another vet for a second opinion. The other vet says the same thing. So she's just like, well, I'm just gonna put him down. So she takes him to the Humane Society, because she doesn't have to pay to put him down there, and because they do get the kickbacks. And so she, and they always say, well, if you don't want the body back, we bury them all together. Okay. Sure thing. Because when my dog died, and this one was Libby, this was a long while ago. Libby had died, and I just came out in the morning, and she was just laying there dead. And when I had remembered, like around 6 a.m., I heard like a "Arr!" And I think she had a heart attack. She was pretty chunky. Like, I've got a bad problem getting my dogs too chunky. I think this poor old Max, I think he's already getting chunky. I've got like, I don't know, I've got a thing, like, if you want to eat, I don't want to stop you from eating. And so, anyways, we took Libby down to, I didn't know what to do, like, and then so I lived in a neighborhood, and so I was just thinking about Gertie, my pig, because she died at the same place, and then they took her, and that was so traumatic, that whole thing. But Libby's, it was very sad too, but it was natural causes, like, and it was peaceful. It wasn't like she had a long drawn out sickness or anything. So I took her down there to have her put with the other dogs, because then they dispose of them all together. However, it supposedly is this huge cremation that they just put them all in and cremate them all together. I don't believe that anymore at all. Not one little bit do I believe that. I believe that they are sold and put into our food. And so that's just what I think. And so this lady, she takes this dog to the Humane Center. This puppy that both vets had told her, he's sick, he's got all these issues. And so she takes him to the Humane Society and surrenders him, signs all the papers over, and says that, checks the box for euthanasia list, like put him down. Is this a fucking puppy? And then she, and this just goes like that all day long. You see these videos. They're putting to death puppies. Like, there's so many dogs that are like a year and under, and they are just killing them all. It's so fucking outrageous. It's so fucking outrageous. I was just, it's disgusting. I mean, I don't understand when people just get puppies when they're really, really cute and tiny, and then as soon as they start to grow, they hate them, because then they have their own personalities, and so then they want them all killed, thrown out in the streets and stuff. People tying them to things. Like, there's so much horrible shit. And the same with the kids right now. Like, and same with like family. Like, there's so much going. But so this woman, she wants this dog put down, and so she leaves. She's gone. So the shelter calls the rescue that the dog had originally come from, and the rescue comes back and gets the dog, takes it, has it checked out. The Humane Society had checked it out and said too that they couldn't find anything wrong. So they call the place, and they all decide like, oh no, this dog's fine. And so then they put him back on the list to be adopted through this rescue. Well, so now the woman who had turned him over is all over the news, and she's just outraged. There's so many, there's a lot of these big accounts too that are showing this really shady side. There's so many people being exposed too for their GoFundMe's, like this one lady who had put one in, oh, I need help with my kids, blah, blah, blah. And got $17,000 and spent it all on trips and all this stuff. And the couple, the ones that got the 50K for killing their kid, now people are saying they gotta get that money back, and now they're getting charged. So yeah, fuck yeah, they should be charged. Like, you're gonna charge everybody else because he's a cop, and with a hot wife, you're gonna act like it's okay. No, that's not okay. You're charging these other people that and it does have a lot to do with color of skin. Like, there's no doubt about it. There is a difference in how people are treated by the color of skin. But don't forget, that is the experience that you're coming to experience, because it goes with the other experiences that your soul has gone through. So yeah, that is something, that for us to all see from different perspectives. And don't forget, our perspectives, we are like the funhouse mirrors for the universe. It's like they get all these different ways to see things through us, because we are the experiencers. So then they can witness our experiences. So all these experiences are for us uh, to I don't want to just say change and grow and stuff, because I know a lot of people don't do that. They get stuck. So you don't have to think like you are doing something wrong, because sometimes it takes a soul a long time to learn lessons. And it takes a lot of different perspectives for something to really sink in, for you to really get it. And so, and it's all a natural progression. It's not something that you need to fight the universe for. You just got to naturally let it happen. You just have to use your awareness as to what is happening, and quit trying to fight it and look at other things. Like, all these people just like look at other things and think that that's what life is about. And it's not. And you are definitely, the tone of your skin has nothing to do with anything. It's just it's like like a kind of, see, like Skittles or Sweet Tarts or something with all these different colors, but still the same candy. And that's the same. It's like, and even the flavors are very minimal difference. And I mean, maybe if you did like lemon and then strawberry, like maybe you'd be like, oh, wow, it's a big difference or something. But it's really, they're not that much different. And so that is the thing with all of us. We're all like different colors, but we're still the same candy. And the different experience, the different flavor is what you're here to admire, to experience, to add it into the rest of you. So it gives you a fuller picture. And it is kind of like a childlike, uncomfortable display of behavior when you're uncomfortable with what is real. Like when she's sitting there asking him, like it's a joke or something about his past life. Like, and she's laughing and asking him all these questions. And it's like, it's serious. Now, I would have been like, do you recognize the person? Like, who was the person who stabbed you in this life? Because that's where these patterns of behavior, and that could be somebody he meets later on who he's going to be married to. And there's different things that have to be worked out. But this is how this carries on, is why people go from life to life just killing each other, because there's something, you got to get over. You got to look at things deeper, and your deeper understanding of your soul. So that is what is, because people aren't to that depth, that is why they get into these patterns of behavior, which we are experiencing right now. There's a lot of people who are just doing each other in. And, that's, that is something that is just, it's just the way it's got to play out. Like, as the thing is, like, don't get too caught up in how all this stuff is playing out, because it's playing out exactly the way it's supposed to play out. So there's nothing, it's going exactly the way it's supposed to go. And, I keep seeing, because I just saw this video, there's no fucking way that, like, this has got to be Jim Carrey. And he was just coming out of a restaurant or something with Jill walks out first in her fancy little pantsuit. And it's always like, she's such a, whatever with this chick, is a phony, opportunistic, like, just wants, I don't know what drives all these people to get them to want these certain things, especially when you'll do it for bad things like thieving and it's just like what she's doing. Like, if this really was a doddering old man, an old politician, and she really was that opportunistic to just keep putting him up, like she's the handler and she's going to keep putting it up and just using that personality that he developed to keep him in power so that you can have status. So there's a lot of people who are starved for status that will do anything to maintain or gravitate towards it so that they can feel good about themselves. But how can you feel good about yourselves in some of these behaviors? You know what I mean? So you got to go deeper, like, and look at things in a more passionate, soulful way. But anyways, so she comes walking out of the restaurant, and some other, looks like a cook or something, was coming out and opening the door, and Jill comes out, and then Jill, it does this big whole thing, comes out, stands in the doorway, bends over, like standing, bends over, and just rips one for everybody in the back. Get that? So just rips one, and then does that kind of smile and stands up. And it's like, that is, I feel like that, I mean, I'm going to be surprised if it's not him, but I feel like it is him, and he keeps trying to give these little things to get people to see. Like, I don't know. I feel like that the information's there when you're paying attention and coming at it from a certain perspective. Like, I don't know. I mean, he's famous for his farting, so I think that is, it's not the only thing he's famous for. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying, like, not every single comedian that went and played him is going to be doing that. I think when he's doing that, it's like, that's, Jim Carrey, JC signature right there. So anyways, I don't know. We'll see. Like, I almost called him Jim. It's like Joe just got a second win too. It's like, as soon as they start saying, we're taking him down, it's like he got a second win. It's like, I don't know. I think that all this is just to keep exposing things, to keep exposing the different criminals and who's doing what and why they're doing this. So that's what all this stuff is all about. And what was that? Because it was something with the Patriot, another Patriot thing. But they are already with the, that they want us all to go on this other agenda thing. Like we just want to be controlled. We just want to be controlled by who we like. It's like, well, we don't want to be controlled by any of these motherfuckers. There's no fucking person out there that can tell me what to do with my motherfucking time. Like, fuck off with this shit. And, so that is something that all these people have to realize themselves or something. But that's going to be in this awakening part, where these people see this other side. Right now, they're just all fighting for the side they believe in, but they haven't seen the other side. But that's why the universe is like, oh, we got that coming. Don't you worry about that. You're going to see the other side, because that's what our life is all about. That's what matters in life, is for us to get a full view. And through us, the universe gets a full view. So it's all a part of it. So that is where it's going to be accommodating. And some of these accommodations have been fucking lifetime after lifetime coming. Like, there's a lot of stuff that people are going to be shocked. It's not going to just be about this life. And so there's a lot of stuff that's coming that when this healing, when this big reveal happens, it's going to be very traumatic for so many people. And so, I mean, think, because we got the, on the date things that I've heard. So 7/15, I've heard that one. 7/17, they've started another new holiday. And I don't remember what they call this one, but it's on 7/17. And then it is also, if you put in your search bar, this woman just did this. So she put in her search bar, just put date, and that's the date that pops up. I'm like, okay, that is suspicious. Like, you just write in date and that date keeps popping up. That's strange. So, so that could be a big significant date. All I know is that Cliff High had said that in July, in the middle of July, there was something happens and it creates a huge amount of chaos. Then what are those, the remote viewers, and they said that they all kept looking at the certain date. Was it 7/15 was the date? I think it was 7/15. But see, 7/17 is closed too. And that could, but it could all be like several days too when this all goes down, just like what's going on in Houston. This is going for days and days, and now they got another storm coming. And what blows my mind is, see, I think that like some of the people I've seen, they're like, well, you know, we have hurricanes all the time. This is just the way it is. But this is different. What's happening is different now. And so people have gotten lazy. That's the thing. It's like if you're in an area that gets certain storms, and then you think, oh, well, we're prepared. You know, I mean, this happens all the time here. There's nothing to worry about. That's your problem. That's where, you know, take a knee to the universe, because that is, things are switching up and they're going to throw you for a loop. And so down there, all these people, because it's turning into a Katrina situation, you know, nobody's coming to the rescue, which I think is Houston's pretty dark place too, just like New Orleans, where it was very much like they're always out to kill the dark people. I swear to God. And it's Hawaii too. I mean, fucking just killing dark people right in front of us. Like, they don't give a fuck. Like, these people are monsters. I swear to God. But we have to wake up to it, you know. And we brought ourselves here. So that's another thing. So whatever, we bring ourselves into these games, these experiences. So it's not something that you need to really be scared of. You just need to start having awareness of what you're doing here and what you're dealing with. So so over there, you know, there was a lot of things. Like, there's people saying the power went out before the storm even came. And so, but we know that they're fucking with the power and the power grid and all that. We know that they're doing everything they can to shut down big cities, to cause big problems. My stomach's growling like crazy. To cause all these big problems and whatnot. And it's to put us off, to get us beat down. Oh yeah, fucking Canada. This is so fucking absurd. There's some shit that is so motherfucking absurd. It's like, what does it take? What does it take for people to stand up? And this is one. It's like, and the person who was doing the video was like, come on, people. Like, this has got to be the thing, right? This has got to be it. So Trudeau, he's having meetings right now because they're trying to figure out how they're going to take people's equity. They need to take people's equity. They need the money. So and the woman's like, people have their equity for their retirement. And so now the government's decided they need it. So they're going to take people's equity all around. The whole thing is like, people gotta start seeing the scam that we're living through. So, and people just like keep being outraged and stuff. It's like, you guys got to stand up, go, fuck you. You're not taking shit from me. Fucking bullshit. And so, which yesterday I suddenly got a text just out of the blue, and they said my name, and I said my address, and said, are you the person who lives at this address? I didn't answer him or say anything. I was like, God damn, these fucking, so much shadiness. This guy, too, he was talking on his iPhone on his car. He was talking to somebody, and they hung up. And he said that his phone kept staying on. So he said, hello? And someone started talking, but there was no call. And he said someone started talking, then everything shut down on his phone, all of that, everything went off. And then he had to go and download all this stuff back. He had to download the stuff back just to make the video. And he's like, what the fuck is going on? And I know that AT&T was hacked, but this is more of this stuff that's just going to keep being, because there was always this sense of control that they've had over us. It's never been independent. We've always been caged, and they are trying to make our cages smaller. And there's so many people that think, well, it's a good idea. Let's go green. Let's get in a small little cage and live in that while they go out and enjoy their lives. It's like, no. We don't need to go green what we need to do is get in harmony with the planet and start caring about the planet, caring about each other. That's what we need to do, not fucking go live in a little cubicle. But so over in Houston, then they are, like there's lines. This is strange, okay? Because so they're going to the fast food places to get food. They're dumping all their food out of their fridges because they have no power, so their food's going rotten. And it's like, didn't you see that coming? Like, why would you go stock up at the grocery store when the hurricane's coming and then the power goes out and now you're throwing the food away? Why are you not cooking the food? And I can't imagine that there's not people with grills in Houston. Like, Texas is a big barbecue place. So you're telling me that none of these people have a goddamn grill? And your neighbor doesn't have one? You can't go over there and say, hey, I got all this chicken. Let's cook it up on the grill. Let's all share it. Let's make some sandwiches at home. No, they're just throwing away bags and food. I was like, this is strange. And then they're lining up. And these lines are fucking long. This is one guy who was just showing a gas station line. And he was talking about all these people in this line, nobody's prepared, and they've run out of gas at gas stations, and nobody at all is prepared, and they're sitting in these long-ass lines waiting to get gas. And I don't know why you wouldn't just wait at home and just ride it out until things, leveled out. And this guy was talking about, he was on his generators. He has 2 generators, and he lives out in Willis. I think Willis is out by where my dad lived. I'm pretty sure that's out where my dad lived and died. But so he's like, I'm out in Willis, and so out on his property, he had 2 generators. I have 1 generator. It takes gas. So that's another thing. Like, I wouldn't just turn it on and just run it like I'm just trying to have a regular house when everything is off. Like, there's people who do that. Like, out here, the power will go out. It can be out for 1 minute. This guy's over here behind me. He died, and it's probably his could have been set up for health reasons the way it was. But as soon as the power goes out, his kicks on, which that's what I would like to do to mine. But I don't want it to come on for every little fucking thing, because then you have to have gas. And I don't know. Their whole thing, they're kind of a pain. They're hard to start, too. Like, I've got to find somebody to start mine. And then, but all these people, you hear all the generators come on. And everybody's got generators out when you live rural. And like the guy in Willis, because I don't know why. Because when the power goes out, you got to deal with it. And so the power will go out here for just like a few minutes, and then all these generators come on, and it's like, do people just can't, they have to have everything going all the time? Like, I'm just like, just leave it off and just sit and kick back until it comes back on, which it can be an hour, it could be 2 hours, it could be 3 hours, but I'm always shocked by how many generators come on. And so That's something I think that you need to really think about. Like, even if you have a generator and shit goes down, you have to have a lot of gas. If you have a lot of gas sitting around, like I've got a couple of gas cans to fill it back up, but now it's been so long that that gas is probably bad. So, you know, I don't know. I could filter it and try and use it still. But anyways, you're still going to run into some kind of situations. So, like, I wouldn't just be like completely dependent on a generator. Like, you have to have electricity. I think a part of this awakening thing is for us to realize too. I mean, electricity is so fucking toxic for us. And you know, I hadn't really thought about that until I was watching this movie and had Bruce Dern, and I can't remember who was his wife. And they were this old couple, and they were this kid's grandparents. And the story is this kid coming to stay with his grandparents this summer or something, and they're totally at odds, like they haven't spoken in years or something, this couple. And and so at the table, like this kid's sitting there in at the dinner table and stuff, and the grandma would be like, "Could you tell him?" They're passing messages through this kid. It's like, what do you do when nobody's there to pass your messages on? Like, they just don't talk or whatever. And I think one of their things that they got in such a big fight about was when they brought electricity out to their area, and she wanted electricity. She wanted their house, and this is something that they did. Like I have said, like the people who were out living simple, they've pushed them to get onto their systems, to come into their education, to get onto their water, to get onto their electricity. All that stuff was always pushed. And they always would make, like, you know, you can live so much better. Having indoor plumbing, you can have so much better. Having electricity through your house, you can live so much better. You can cook in your house. All these things that they pushed people to do. Well, there was people who had lived the old ways and were like, we're living fine. We don't need that shit. And then there was other people, like I said, that were like, I'm leaving here. I'm going to get an education. I'm living in the cities. And, you know, but everybody's on their own journey. And so, but there's always this draw, you know, like this, they've got the lights and the music to draw you in. It's like the cities were a carnival to pull us in. And but Bruce Dern kept being like, this is so bad. Electricity is so bad. It's dangerous. We don't want this. We don't want to deal with this. And the woman was like, well, I want this and I want electricity. And so it was a whole thing. But I was really thinking, like, yeah, man, like, I was electrocuted as a kid. And I just saw a horrific one. This guy, it was him and his brother and his dad. They had some business, I don't know, I think it was not cleaning windows, something on the outside of the building. I can't remember what it was they were doing. And I don't know, he was having this great day. He was all excited or something. Everything was going really good. And so they're out there. He gets in one of those things that lift you up. And so he's getting lifted up to do this thing. And they lift him right into, or he gets lifted right into the power lines. And he was lifting himself. His brother and dad were just watching. They watched all this happen. He was lifting himself, but he wasn't seeing what was behind him. And he lifted himself right up into the power lines. And so it's just those freak accident things are supposed to happen. Like, you're not supposed to see what you're doing because it's supposed to go the way it goes. So that's the thing, is you can't sit there and think, oh, I woulda, shoulda, coulda. Well, no, because that is supposed to happen. But what's trippy is it, like, burned his face off. Like, it closed everything. And I think he is one of the people now who has a face transplant or something. I think that's why I had seen him and then seen his story. But electricity is dangerous. And I mean, I think that is a part of what is being shown to us or revealed to us too, like with the fires. Like there's a lot of different ways that I think is being shown to us that it's dangerous, because it's like they tried to harness energy and control it to control us, just like they do with the water and stuff like that. So yeah, it's going to all fall apart, and it's going to be exposed as like, well, that's not the way to go. Free energy is not going to be like, we're around free energy and we're not getting electrocuted. You know, we're around energy. And so it's more of this being able to harness the energy that's around us, but they do something to the energy. And so anyways, everything they do is dangerous to us, you know. That's the thing with oh, at my water company too, I asked them the other day, they sent us, because they're going up, everything just keeps going up. It's so ridiculous, but it's because it's all about to fall apart. But then so I said, is this water, how did I say it? I said, is this water, um, something about the sewage. I don't remember how I said it. I didn't say it. I said it with minimal words too. But like, is our water just sewage that's been cleaned up? And she was like, oh God, no. She said, ours comes from a well, an underground water source. So supposedly our water comes from a well, but it still has chemicals and stuff. You can still, like, this was when we were very first living here, and I'm spraying it in a bucket out for outside for Stella to drink out of, because she likes to drink water outside. She's just really into the outside water, like an animal. And so I was spraying it in the bucket, and the spray bag was like so chemically, and she'd go up and smell it, and I was like, man, what the fuck, they're putting all this stuff in the water. I had a well before when we lived out on property, and we didn't put anything in it. That's the beauty of the well, is that you have this water that's clean coming out of the ground. So why is our water smell like chemicals? And then even if you do the EPA report, it has chemicals. And then even they sent us a report the other day, and it had chemicals in it. And then they say why they think this stuff is there. Well, we think it has this because people spray these toxins on their yards. We think it comes from this. We think it comes from that. It's like, I don't know. I don't believe any. I think gangsters are the ones in charge of our resources, and they're going to do whatever the fuck they want. And oh man, there's so many horrific things happening in people's lives. Like, as I just saw this one, and they're just so outrageous. This one was in New York, and I don't even know if this woman's daughter was missing for a day or two or whatever. I think that she was missing. Like, the woman didn't know where her daughter was. And then there was all this trash out on the sidewalk, and somebody came and brought a big bag. They said it's like a sleeping bag, and had it piled out there. Well, in the sleeping bag was her daughter's body, and she had been shot in the head. And there was footage that it was brought down on a wheelchair. And so the mom had started saying, because the daughter was working with homeless people, and there was somebody who she knew with a wheelchair. So, oh no. But you got to remember, all the things that are happening are supposed to happen. Like, nothing's happening that's shocking the universe. And the soul that is having these things happen, that, you know, like the person who was in the sleeping bag, when they are, because they would not really be in the sleeping bag. That's the discard of their, the representation of them. They would still be around, and so they wouldn't be shocked. The only thing is that they would feel bad for the people who are going through the pain and suffering of loss. And so they would try and be there for those people. But then also they have a more 360 view of the relationships with these people. So, you know, it's just I don't know, people aren't taken before their time. It's impossible. And there was another one I had just seen too with a 13-year-old girl. There's so many of these little girls that are being done in. Just, and this one was walking, going to her apartments or something, and then the guy grabbed her and killed her in there. It was just so many of these happening. And it's all just, a lot of this stuff, like, we can see it and be like, oh my God, this is horrible, horrible, and understand what these people are going through. I think that part of it is for us to have understanding, to build our compassion and our empathy, and to see what these people are having to experience, and how sad and loss is so sad. And the biggest thing too that goes with a loss is guilt and shame. And my granddaughter had lost her dad, and she's still struggling so hard, really, really hard. And I swear, it's such a big thing to me, is guilt and loss, and guilt and shame. And that is something that people don't talk about when somebody dies. So people are like on their internal journey of facing these things by themselves, and it eats them up inside. I think it's very important for, there should be more support groups, especially right now where there's so many kids that are losing parents. There should be support groups, because yeah, kids have the same thing. They've talked shit on their parents. They're mad at their parents. They've yelled and screamed. They've said mean things. They've done mean things. And those things come back fucking with a vengeance when something happens. That's what eats you up. And so to think that kids aren't having that experience too is, I don't know. I think it's just a part of our ignorance as humans, and that is a part of our evolution of evolving. So to have better understanding of what we go through, and how we go through it, and how we get out of it. And so, I think that support groups, like, we need to start like little, like the same thing with AA and Al-Anon and stuff, is have groups where people who have experienced loss, maybe they need to have an 18 and under, because their experience would be different than adults. Because there's a lot of adults who are losing their kids, and there are going to be people who are going to lose. A lot of people are going to go through loss in an angry thing, like their last parting words were anger, or I haven't spoken to them in years. And like when my dad was dying, and and there was so much time that I didn't talk to my dad. There was so many things, because I had written him in one of those letters. I'm trying to think when it was, but I swear, maybe it was when I was 30. Maybe that was the letter I wrote then, because I also wrote my grandpa, one of those fucking my mom's dad, because he did something that really irked the fuck out of me. I wrote him a long fucking letter too, and I sent out carbon copies to everybody. I was like, this is some bullshit. I was so fucking pissed. And that one was over as my mom, I mean, she was a kid when she had me. She was 16, and she struggled a lot. Like, she was dependent on a man. My dad was successful financially, and then she married another guy who was way younger, and he wasn't the same kind of status. And she put a lot of pressure on him, but she always had somebody taking care of her. And then when he died, or no, they got split up, but I guess she would ask her dad for money when she would have problems. She was always, my brother's gotten in fights with her about it too. Like, he feels like he's saved her and all this stuff. But my grandpa was, my mom would ask him for money, and he was real rich. Don't forget about that. He was rich, and but stingy. And so he had said something to her, and she had said it to me, like, Well, why don't your kids help you? Why aren't your kids giving you money? I was so fucking pissed. I couldn't even believe it. I wrote him a letter. I was like, I've got my own kids to take care of. Why are you not taking care of yours? I mean, I went off, man. I was like, how fucking dare you? Like, you don't have to take care of anybody, but now we're supposed to take care of your child? Piss off, dude. And and he abandoned his family because Dick was busy. You know, he had to go out and make sure there was a lot of people having his business. So fuck off. And he's dead now. That's the one where I say I don't really consider him my grandpa. He's my mom's dad because we didn't ever build that kind of relationship. He was different. And but when I wrote my dad, one of those letters like, you were never there for me, you didn't protect me, I had to be protected from you, I don't want anything to do with you, leave me alone, all of that. And I didn't talk to him for years. And in that time there was a lot of scares. Like, he was one of the ones that he was in the hospital and he was all beaten. And because at a certain period of time when he had lost everything, he was a homeless drug person who lived in crack houses and stuff. And so who knows what shady shit he did. My dad was always doing shady shit. My dad, it was a time when, and this is when we were all still a family. And so he was younger. He was hot. So he, just to see him as my grandpa. Some of these guys who know that they can get the girls, they just get them all. They have no control. That is about soul lessons. And so my dad was a skeezer for sure. And it was Sandy Brown. And Sandy Brown, you see, my mom was tiny. She was this small, petite woman. And my dad was a big guy. And Sandy Brown was a bigger woman. I think she was like 6 foot. She was not like a giant, she wasn't like overweight or something. She was larger boned. And she was just a bigger woman. And her husband, Dan Brown, and Dan Brown was my dad's best friend. And they were always together, always drunk together, always doing stuff together. And I don't know what all went down, but my dad, drunk, of course, did something to Sandy. I don't know if he went into her room and tried to getting busy with her or what the hell. And Dan got so pissed that he went out, and he didn't just use his fist to punch my dad out. He went outside and got a log for the fireplace and beat my dad with this log. My dad's face got all broken. My dad was jacked. He had broken bones in his face and stuff. And I think he had a broken hand and stuff. I don't even remember all the stuff. But that's, what my dad was like. He would do stuff, get himself with this problem. So he had to get surgery and stuff. And they still stayed friends. It wasn't like that was the end of their friendship. Because Dan was still around forever. Like, they stayed friends forever. Dan and Sandy ended up getting divorced, I think, too. But anyways, there's all the people were getting divorced back then because everybody was just like living, I don't know, there was some weird shit that went on for a while with adults back then. And because there was just too much partying. It was always like a lot of when you got home from work, you had your drinks, and all the parents would all gather around and hang out together and party and stuff. It was like a very party time, but it was like there needs to be more morals. Like, it's good to have a good time, but you got to also have morals. And that is something that we've been learning as a species, is to have morals. So there's been a lot of immoral behavior, but it's always the ones with morals that set the standard, that give the pushback. So this is how we're all like learning through these experiences. So anyways, but my dad, so I had written him off, and he had went through some bad stuff in the time when I wasn't talking to him. Like, he was all beaten by, I don't know what all shady shit he was involved with when he was beaten with the homeless situation. He probably ripped somebody off or something. Could try to sleep with their wife, who knows. But so he was in the hospital, and then he was always in liver failure, was always going to die and stuff. And so I would just keep, like, and my other siblings be like, well, you got to talk to him. He could die. I'm like, I've got nothing to say. And I'm not dealing with it. I was, like, my whole childhood, it was like I was my dad's counselor. It was like every fucking, because I was the oldest kid, every fucking day, sit and whine and cry about what his life was. And I'd try and talk him through it, how to get through it. You can do this and you can make changes. This is good for you. You could change your life and all this, And then it would just start back over the next day. I was like, this is some fucking bullshit. And there's a lot of people, like, if your dad, sexually terrorized you as a child, you wouldn't be there for him. So anyways, I went through all that stuff. And then eventually, when it was a long time later, like, my dad lived without a liver for decades. And by the time he did die, I don't know, it was a few years before quarantine. Like, it was a whole thing I've talked about before. But the thing is like, I went and saw him, and I had been talking to him, there was a period of time, I don't remember when it was, probably one of the times when he was dying before, but I had started talking to him. And so I went and saw him, and I felt really sad when he was dying. I always felt sad about my dad. I always wished I could have had the dad that came dancing out in the morning to Wooly Bully and singing. I always wish that would have stayed my dad all day long. Like, it makes me sad still. But I always knew, like, he was lost. And so anyways, but to me, later, because somebody else's dad was dying, like right after my dad died. And there's a lot of people who have these problems with their parents, like, especially ones that have been alcoholics or drug addicts or different things. And so whatever her situation was, I think her dad was a biker, drug addict kind of guy who wasn't there for her. So he was dying in the hospital, probably from hepatitis or something too. And my dad's was liver cancer, supposedly was killing him because he had no fucking liver. So I don't know. And so hers, I don't remember what hers was, but he was in the hospital dying. I was like, you should go talk to him. You should definitely go see him. And she's like, I don't know, I don't want to, and all that stuff. I tell everybody, you got to go see somebody if there's some kind of thing, so you can say your goodbyes, so you can let it go, because it will carry on. And so people who don't go and finish, sign off on it, then it haunts them. They'll keep it, like it's incomplete. And so you have this lingering, like, my dad still comes. My dad comes, like, around me now. I still have some things, like, where it's like, I don't know, there's a confusion between his energy here and his energy there, but I know it's very different. But I still will be suspicious of him, like, I don't know. But anyways, so he's still around. It's like, nobody leaves you forever. It's not like, oh, this was your only shot. No, these souls stay around you all the time. But when you don't have this completion, this final goodbye, that it, like, haunts you. Like, people can't let go of it. It will eat them up. And it's really important, even if you haven't talked to the person, I think, is to go and have your final goodbye. Otherwise, there's just this unfinished business that haunts you, and it will just keep going and going and going. And so people will be a lot more bothered. I think it's a lot more bothersome to not go and say goodbye to somebody who you've got hard feelings with than it is to go say your goodbyes. And when you say your goodbyes, it's not the time to, you can say whatever you want, but whatever you say and how your attitude is always going to be what haunts you. But is that same thing as what I was just talking about uh, earlier? It's you, the things you say, your attitude is going to be the thing that eats you up. And you're going to reevaluate it. And you're going to reevaluate it and reevaluate it and reevaluate it. And uh, that is the hardest part for people, is to see this side of themselves. But that's what the universe is here to help you to see this side of yourself, because not seeing that side of yourself, it more keeps you trapped in the dark energy, in the low density. Because how do you move out of that? And in order to move out of the low density, you got to let go of all this stuff. And if you are having issues saying goodbye to somebody, then you're holding on to stuff. And everything is about letting go of stuff. And so, anyways, I think it's important. And I also think it's important to, be aware of whatever all the storms and be a lot more prepared. And it's this reprioritizing the way of thinking of things different. Like on the food thing, like I've got a bunch of peanut butter and crackers. Yeah, like if you got to be thinking that there's not going to be power to cook, so you got to have things that you can just eat. And you also got to get it into your mind, we don't have to eat the way that they taught us to eat. And that is a whole program that you have to step out of. That's a hard one for people. I mean, we have so many people who are sick and obese, and they still feel like that they've got to eat all this food. It's like, it all comes from in here. It comes from how they have to reevaluate how they see things. And everything in the universe right now is giving us opportunities to reevaluate, to look at things, to see things differently, to build compassion, to build empathy, and to make different choices for ourselves. And everything is about connecting to what is real. And what's real is the universe. What's real is your soul. The rest of the stuff is an illusion, but your soul is real. And your soul is not fucking brown. It's it's not brown or white. It can become super like white, but it's not even a white light. It's more of just a bright vividness that creates what we think of as like light, but it is it's it is like I see like energy being so energetic that it's like coming out of itself, and that part that's coming out of itself, that intensity, that is more like where you get to the white light. um I would say probably, I would say probably a lot of people have kind of a darker, denser kind of aura because they're so caught up in the game. Once they start separating themselves from the game, then they'll jump more into their real light that really is who they are. And that light is going to be a lot more vivid. That is, I think, why people all this stuff happens and stuff, people start becoming more beautiful. It's because your light starts shining through. And right now it's the density. And you notice, like, one thing I notice is like when you see people who you think like, oh, well, they're not attractive or whatever, it is because of how they're like, they're they're angry, or they're sad, or they're mad, or whatever the thing is. It's their face. They're showing this side of themselves, this part that needs to be purged out. But that creates the distortion. Once you let go of all that stuff and your face is relaxed and happy, then this beauty starts shining through, that is the you that you are. And so that's why you gotta let go of all this stuff, because it creates a distortion of who you are. And because everybody is beautiful on the inside, and the beauty from in you shines through, so everything is beautiful because you are beautiful. And so we get caught up in thinking that it has something to do with like what we look like, which that's all variable. That's all by opinion. Not everybody likes blonde hair. Not everybody likes dark hair. Not everybody likes blue eyes. Not everybody likes brown eyes. Like, how is it that we can just come up with a beauty standard? No, they come up with people who are attractive and they market them to us to all, oh, we all want to look like that so we can be attractive. So you got people dyeing their hair, getting surgeries. There's people who literally go in and get surgeries to try and look like Kim Kardashian and Angelina Jolie. Like, they go in and like, here, make me look like this. It's like, but you are going to be more beautiful looking like yourself. Like, you just got to come into this appreciation of yourself, learning to love yourself. And that is, the learning to love yourself is how yourself is going to shine out as beautiful because you love yourself. And that's where, the most important thing. And this is one thing too, that so many people, they go to other people because they think if this person likes me, then I'll like myself. But your highest vibe person, the person who's going to like you the most, is not even going to see you until you like yourself. The rest of the people are there just to help you learn how to like yourself. The person who loves you for who you are, they only are going to find you when you love yourself. So that's why I'm saying the journey is to love yourself. Find yourself, love yourself, and be yourself. And then that is when you're going to bring in the love that you desire because you love yourself. We can't go to others to give us the love that they don't even have for themselves. And we want them to love us into being able to figure out how to love our own self, So anyways, that's how it's all got to go. It all comes from within you. It's all a change of your attitude and how you look at things and how you approach things, and pay attention to things going on. Like, I mean, they've been without power for so long for those days. I think that they've started putting some back on, but they've got these trucks just sitting. They're not doing anything. They're not going out and putting up power lines and stuff. They're leaving these people with no power, just like they did at Katrina. And then, but at Katrina, like, they were surrounded with water. Like, there's people on top of roofs, and they weren't going and getting people. Like, it was disgusting. And so their storm, they said it was the weirdest thing. This big hurricane that came and it was gone in 2 hours, and it was like a category 1. They said it was a category 1, but it hit them like a category 5. And the people are like, the category 1 doesn't take down trees and power lines and all this shit that they are doing. So the people who are there are saying stuff is off. This isn't making any sense. And now they're about to have Hurricane Chris come sliding through, and all this stuff is going to keep going. That whole place over there. And that was the other thing, is what people are saying is we're about to have this big earthquake. Oh, and by me, the earthquakes have already started. Is there was by Vancouver, there was a couple of high 6s over by Oregon. So see, it's over. Like, this shit is all fucking going, man. And and there's a time traveler guy that is saying that Yellowstone's going to go and most of us are all going to be killed. It's going to go in the dark ages and stuff. Don't listen to those things, those people. I don't see it that way at all. I see that there's going to be a lot of chaos. There's going to be a lot of death and destruction. Like, we're already going through that. Like, there's people saying we're about to go in the tribulation. We're in the tribulation. We're already going through the death and the destruction, and the opportunity for souls to wake up and heal and grow. And so that is already going. This is the other part, the aftermath part. That is where everything gets better. So when this goes down, whatever is going to happen, which if it is something up in the sky is going to go, is going to happen. I don't remember what it was. I saw something about that. But there is like a lot of stuff that I just keep seeing that just gives hope that this month is really going to be the month that things shake up and change. But, I wish Jim would just hurry up and just fall over and, let Joe go. Like, let's get this thing moving. So anyways, but as long as it's dragging, you got to just stay with the program. Don't get frustrated. Don't get upset. Just really pay attention and realize what's going on. And remember what it's all about is remember how to love yourself, love everyone, and how to have a loving day, because it is up to you. So anyways, I'll talk to you later. Bye.